Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Annette, also known as Grandma D, and we are here today getting together for our fourth segment in becoming debt free or close to it and achieving some financial freedom in your life. We have had we've had three very interesting discussions throughout the course of this series, starting in the beginning of November. And we have come a long way. We've talked about a lot of great things. And today I have several points that I want to talk to you about. And I have my notebook here. I don't want to forget anything. So I have everything written down. And we are going to talk about, as I said, four different things today. The first thing that we're going to talk about is planning before you go to the grocery store. The grocery store can be a huge money sucker, and you don't even realize it sometimes until you're back home and you're like, why did I even buy that? So, we are going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about possibly considering a small garden next summer, or if you're watching this in the early spring, you can start planning for that. And we are also going to talk about a couple topics that go off in a totally different direction: vehicle maintenance and gasoline savings. And then we're going to talk a little bit about vehicle insurances. These are all items that people may not always consider because they're kind of a sidebar note when it comes to trying to cut back on expenses and save money. Some people are really big into the grocery aspect of it and really get into it heavily. And that's kind of where I'm at. Even though I live alone and my children are all grown, I still plan really hard for that because, for one thing, for health reasons, and for two, because of the way I shop, because of health, I have to be strategic in what I buy, when I buy, how I preserve or save it. So we're going to get into that as well a little bit. So without any further ado, the main overarching topic for today is being proactive. Okay. It's very important to be proactive, because if you are proactive instead of reactive to things in your life when you're trying to save money, you're going to be shocked. You're going to see results. Okay. So, with that said, we're going to talk about being efficient with our groceries and when we make our list and how we spend our money. And we're going to talk about making sure you know what you have, taking an inventory of what is in your pantry, what is in your refrigerator, and what is in your freezer. These are all very important. You need to know what you have because, especially in a freezer, things can go to the bottom. And before you know it, you don't even know what's in there anymore. So, that is very important. Things go to the back of the fridge. They even go to the back of the pantry. It's important to track the dates on your product. Some things have a spoilage date, like milk, butter, cheese, meats, and some things have a best by date, which are things that are a little more shelf stable, but they can go beyond the date on the box and they're okay for a while. So, so the first thing you want to do is you want to have a pad of paper and you want to do some meal planning. You want to look at recipes, think about what your family normally likes to eat, make lists of those things to get you started. And then you can jump off of those lists and develop a grocery list once you take a physical inventory of all the things you have in your pantry, all the things you have in your refrigerator and in your freezer. That's very important. And we are going to take a look at my own pantry, and we're going to see what I have in there. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what's in there, how I keep it organized. And because you always want to pull the older items to the front and put the fresh items that you're buying in the back of the pantry. And that way things are constantly rolling forward and they are being used up. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. Okay, so this is my pantry area. And I have things organized by like categorically. Up here on the top shelf, I have canning jars up there, and those are flour and sugar. I buy my flour and my sugar in bulk so that I can save a little money there. And this is shortening. I bake bread and things like that. That's all baking supplies. I have noodles over there. This is some examples of shelf-stable food. This is Spam. This is light Spam with less sodium and things like that. And I also buy these. This is pink salmon. I have tuna. These I love. These are shelf-stable riced cauliflower that do not have to be frozen. They are delicious, you guys. This is plain. This one is cauliflower with tomato, red pepper, and corn. And they make another one too, but I keep those in there so that I can keep them organized. And I do buy canned soups once in a while. I take these for my lunch for work. And I have cereal and a few other baking things here. Now over here, this is my area for all things tomato, salad dressing, so I can see what I have very clearly. I can see exactly what I have. There's no guesswork involved. And this type of a pantry closet that's on an outside wall, because there's my door. I'm doing some remodeling. I hope you'll forgive that. So this is on an outside wall, and I have squash from the summer that I raised from squash seeds. I grew these acorn squash right here, and these squash, and they are out of my garden. And they keep real well in this type of an environment where things are cool. So you can do that. You can buy them in bulk and keep them in a cool location in your house, and they'll last a very long time. No problems. So this is, again, my pantry area. Now, it's just me, but I stay organized so I can see what I have, and I can open this cabinet and know what I need at a glance. So we'll go and take a look at the fridge and the freezer. Okay, so this is my freezer compartment here. And my freezer has this lower shelf here, and it has this light, narrow pull-out shelf. And then it also has this shelf up here. Now, up here in the top, I typically keep all my vegetables and things that I don't want to lose. So that's what I keep in here. I have green beans, frozen vegetables I bought at the store. I save bacon grease, and I use that sometimes when I cook, and sometimes I give it to the birds. I make suet cakes for the birds. And you can freeze your dinner rolls and just take out what you need, just one or two at a time, and thaw them out, and you can do that as well. And this is squash from the summer that I cooked and froze. I cooked like 4 big squash. These are spaghettis, and I froze those. Now on this side, again, this is more frozen vegetables over here and fruit. All on this side, desserts, vegetables, and fruit. This side is all meat. So I can look in here and see what I have. I have some French fries down there, and see what all I have. I have chicken, ground turkey, ground beef, pork chops, fish, all kinds of stuff down there. But I keep them separated, which makes it easier for me to know what I have. And then in my refrigerator, I keep all my condiments here in the front. This is what they call a door-in-a-door refrigerator. It's made by LG. And this makes it easy for me to see all my condiments at a glance and know what I have. And this refrigerator also has a drawer here for fruits and vegetables. And I try to keep everything in here because I can see it because it's all laid out and I can see what's in here. And so anyways, my refrigerator is a little bit of a mess, but there isn't a lot in there because I typically don't keep a lot. So that's what we have in my pantry and my refrigerator and freezer. And I have another freezer out in the garage, but it doesn't have much in it because I try to keep things moving in here so that I can have a better idea of what I have on hand. And that way it doesn't get forgotten out there. I typically glance in there like once a week coming out from my car because it's in my garage. And then I don't, like I said, I don't forget what's in there. So, so there you can see what I have and how I'm able to tell what I have at a glance. So I hope that was helpful. Now that you've been in my pantry and we've looked in my freezer a little bit to see what I have there, we are going to go forward and also talk about other things that are very important. Now, I make a lot of things from scratch. Okay. So what I do is if I go to the grocery store and there's onions, green peppers, mushrooms, things like that I use all the time and they're on sale, I'll buy extra and then I'll bring home and I'll put some in the freezer. You can chop up onions, green peppers, and mushrooms, toss them in a freezer Ziploc bag and throw them in the freezer. Write a little date on the bag so you know when you put them in there. Then you can continue the rotation because if you don't date your freezer items, you have a huge problem. Okay. Now, there are labels that you can buy. Tupperware used to make freezer labels. I've not seen them anymore. What I have is older Tupperware freezer labels, and then I just went to the store, like the grocery store, Family Dollar, Dollar General, places like that. They have stickers that you can put on your freezer items. You could probably get them on Amazon as well. And those will help you to track your dates. That's super important. Okay. And I also will buy burger, roasts, things like that. And I'll cut the roasts up and for like beef tips. I will cook hamburger ahead of time. Like if I'm cooking nacho burger, I'll get it all ready. I'll cook a big batch of it and I will add the taco seasoning. And if you like to put onions in there or whatever, and I'll add that. And then I'll break that up into portion sizes and freeze it. Then when you come home at the end of the workday and your kids are really hungry, your family's hungry or whatever, you can just pull a bag out of the freezer, zap it in the microwave for a couple of minutes on defrost setting, and it's ready to go. All you got to do is chop up your vegetables, put your stuff out, you're good to go. You got nachos. Or you can do the same thing with spaghetti. I do that a lot with spaghetti sauce. And you can freeze noodles. In case you didn't know, you can freeze cooked noodles. Okay. And then the way you thaw them is you just get a bowl of warm water, hot water, and you just dump them in there and they will just come apart within a few minutes. They'll start coming apart and then they thaw super fast and you're ready to go. You've got your hamburger, your spaghetti sauce, your noodles, everything's ready. And if you want to make garlic bread, that's like a 15-minute job. And you can build a garlic bread to go with it and you got dinner. Bang, bang, boom. Super fast, Super easy. Takes a little prep time, and that's where it starts with checking what's in your freezer, making your grocery list, taking a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon when you're home and you have time, whatever your day off is, and planning. Say, I'm going to make a big batch of spaghetti sauce. I'm going to make a big batch of soup. You can make soups as well. Those are really great soups, sauces, spaghetti, all in portion size bags. There's lots of things you can make ahead of time. Okay. And have them ready to go. You can even prep your homemade meal kits to go in your slow cooker. You can prep those ahead of time, and then you just pull it out. It's got your frozen chicken, your frozen vegetables, everything's ready. All you got to do is throw in some potatoes or whatever you want to go with it, throw it in the crock pot, and walk away. At the end of the day, you come home, so supper's ready. So that's really great. And then, as I said before, I buy things when they go on sale. That is super important because you may as well take advantage of the sales and put some things into the freezer. Okay. And another thing people don't think about is shelf stable foods. That is a big thing, like canned soups, tuna, canned meats. There are a lot of canned meats you can get. You can get canned beef, canned chicken. You can use Spam, tuna fish. There's a wide variety of items that are shelf stable. If you live alone and your meals are very small and you have very limited freezer space, that's a definite option because you can just put them in the pantry and they have a long shelf life because they're canned items. Canned vegetables are a good option if you don't have a lot of freezer space. Those work really well also. Macaroni and cheese, pasta, those are all super shelf stable items. And I buy the shelf stable almond milk. It's not bad. It's good. And it's super low in calories, super low in carbs if you're watching that. And if you are lactose intolerant and you're already an almond milk or a soy milk drinker, you can buy the shelf stable and it'll stay in your pantry for well over a year. And it's in a smaller box. So you have less in your fridge. Like me, I was buying the half gallon of the almond milk and it was going bad in my fridge because I'm not a huge milk drinker. And I have a little bit of a problem with the lactose in cow's milk. So that is a huge option. Okay. When you're shopping, here's another thing. When you're shopping, you need to pay attention to the stickers that are on the edge of the shelf. Okay. And I will input a sticker here for you to look at that I took a photo of in Meijer while I was shopping. It has the main ticket price on there for the product. And then down below it, it'll have so many cents per ounce or per unit or whatever. That's the magic number. That's the magic number because you say, okay, I'm going to get a small ketchup as an example. Okay. It may say 35 cents per ounce. Then you go right next to it and get a slightly larger ketchup, which costs more, but the price per ounce is what matters. You are going to find, I check this all the time with all my condiments, with coffee. I look at that at almost everything before I buy it because I don't always buy name brand. The off brands or the store brands or whatever brands you have that are not Folgers, Campbell's, Maxwell House, all those name brands, a lot of times they're cheaper and they're just as good in that cents per ounce. You can look at two containers of something right next to each other, and one might be 50, one might be 48 cents an ounce. Now, those may not seem like a big deal to you, and for some people, it may not matter. And if it's not a huge deal to you, that's great. Good for you. I mean, whatever you want to do, it's your life and it's your groceries. but it makes a huge difference. And you're going to be like, wow, I never noticed that before. So make sure you check the price per ounce or unit or whatever, as well as the cost, and then go to your app or your coupon folder and see if you have a coupon for that item on top of it. Because sometimes something will be on sale and it's not the better deal. A lot of times I see this with potato chips. They'll have two smaller bags that are like the 7.5 ounce. They'll say 2 for $4 or 2 for $5. So just do the math really quick. If it's 7.5 ounces, that's 15 ounces. And under the sale amount, they'll have the cost per ounce. Then go to the big family size bag that's like 24 ounces and see how much that one is. You're going to be like, dude, I had no idea. It's a big deal, and it really makes a difference. So I would advise doing that and checking that. Um, so with that said, about some groceries, that's a lot to think about. That's a lot to think about. You might have to go back and watch again to kind of make a list and understand everything. Um, but the second thing we're going to talk about really quickly is to consider a small garden. And that can look like anything for you. It can be in flower pots on your deck if you have a small home and you don't have a place to dig up a portion of your yard and have a garden. It can be raised beds. And I'm going to insert a photo here. I have a video, and the link to the video will be in the notes below. I purchased 2 raised garden beds, and I put them together last spring in my garage. And I talked a little about them. I used them last summer. They're smaller. Like one raised bed will handle 2 tomato plants because tomatoes need a lot of space. They have a large root ball. They need a lot of space. Okay. And the other one had like 3 green pepper plants in it because they're small. Okay. But then you can put plants in your flower bed, and you can put them in pots on your deck. But just remember, you need a pot big enough because when you buy them, they're this big. But when they're producing fruit and vegetables, they're big. So they need space. So you want to get a larger pot, and you might have to transplant them. You need to be prepared for that, but you want to get good garden soil. Um, and they make garden soils that are for in ground, and then they make garden soils that are for pots or raised beds because they hold more water. They put additives in them that hold more water. And Dairy Dew is a wonderful product. I highly recommend it. It is an addition that can be added to your soil to give it a boost as it gets older, because I reuse my soil. And I add to it, I add fresh to it, and I add Dairy Dew to it, and I mix it all up, and my plants they love it. It's great. So, anyways, you will see the link in the notes below to my raised garden bed video. That is really good. I was really happy with that. And you always want to remember that if you're new to gardening, you want to start very small. Don't have these big lofty goals that you're going to have this huge garden and it's going to be 20 tomato plants and 10 pepper plants. And you got to remember, every pepper plant is going to produce at least 6 to 8 peppers. At least. And if you have 10 plants, that's a lot of peppers. And tomatoes are the same way. One tomato plant can give you multiple tomatoes over and over again. It keeps producing, so they don't stop until it gets cold. You'll start getting your first tomatoes and peppers like end of July, beginning of August if you live in Michigan, unless you start your plants early in the wintertime indoors. You can do that, but I wouldn't recommend that your first year. I would hold off on that. Build as you go, start small. And so you want to keep that in mind, but you also need to remember that some plants have to have a friend. Okay. Like tomatoes, peppers, squash, green beans, and cucumbers, they all need a friend because they pollinate off of each other. Okay. And if you only have one, it's not going to get pollinated properly and you won't get any fruit off of it. Okay. Um, and then a lot of these things grow up like squash, beans, and cucumbers. They're a vine plant. And you can put them on a trellis. I'll insert a photo here of some squash that I raised that I put on a trellis. It's beautiful. They go right up over the top of the trellis and the fruit hang down. They get lots of sun, they get lots of air, and they grow like crazy. Works wonderfully. You can use an arch, which is what I used. I say trellis, but it was an arch. And they can also grow up like the rails of your deck. You can put like a flower arch in your flower bed and support it, and they'll grow up anything, fencing, anything. Doesn't matter to them. So if you have an old piece of fence, you have an old fence gate, you can put that in the ground and put a cucumber and squash on one side of it, and up they'll go right up the gate. And it keeps the plants off the ground and help prevents root rot. Okay. And you need to remember that wherever you decide to put your plants, they need lots of sunshine. They need lots of air. They need airflow. You can't put them somewhere where they're not going to get a lot of airflow because it can cause root rot. And they need lots of water. So you're going to have to water them almost daily. Unless it's raining a lot, you're going to have to water them almost daily. Okay. So it's a little bit of responsibility, but the satisfaction and when you go to your freezer in the wintertime and you go to a bag and you're making, say you're making chili. That's such a good example. You can take whole tomatoes, take the stem off, throw them in a Ziploc bag and toss them in the freezer. Don't peel them. Don't do nothing to them. You might want to rinse them if they got dirt on them, but that's about it. And put them in the freezer, and you can keep adding to the same bag. Okay. So then you're ready to make chili, and your chili calls for diced stewed tomatoes. Okay. You go to your freezer, get in your bag, pull out 4, 6, 8 tomatoes, whatever you need, get a bowl of hot water, drop them in. Give them time to start to thaw, and you can test them, and they will just slip right out of the skin. It literally almost pops right off once they're warm enough. And then you just take them out, pop the skins off, hold them over the pan or out in a bowl, chop them up and throw them in. And you got fresh tomatoes from your garden. Everything's used except for the skins. And you can take the skins and compost them, put them back into your garden the next year, and they will contribute nutrients to your soil. And composting is another whole thing. I have a composting unit outside, and I use a small ice cream bucket, a square ice cream bucket. It's plastic, and I put my composting stuff into there, and when it's full, I just mash that stuff down in there. And when it's so full, I can't get the top on it anymore, I take it outside and put it in my composter. So that's something you can do as well. There's a lot of things that cannot be composted, but there's a lot of things that can. And a lot of fruits, I wouldn't compost them, but eggshells, all vegetable stuff, coffee grounds are wonderful for that. There's a lot of great things that you can use for composting. Okay. So, if you want to know more about the composting thing, you can let me know in the notes below this video, and I can talk with you a little more about that in depth and go a little slower and talk about that. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about today is being efficient with your vehicles and taking care of them for maintenance. Okay. It's very important to be proactive. Proactive. with your vehicle, because that's your transportation to work. That's your transportation to where the money is. Okay. So you need to be always mindful about what maintenance your vehicle needs. You need to track and have a log for your oil changes, when it needs transmission fluids changed, when it needs filters changed, when your tires were put on. I have my tires rotated every time I get my oil changed. I run the wheels right off my car because I go a long way to work. I do that a lot. And my oil gets changed every 3 to 5,000 miles. I don't care what the book says. I don't care if it says 7,000 miles. My car is going to have clean oil in it because I drive a long way to work. And I get the tires rotated. I put winter tires on in the winter, summer tires on in the summer. I'm very mindful of all those things because that will help prevent breakdowns. And also, don't neglect things. Don't neglect if your car's making a noise or if it has a small problem, take it in and have it checked. It might be something very small that they can fix that could potentially turn into a bigger problem. And you don't want that. You don't want to go to the thing and have them have to tow your car in because you waited too long and it had a major breakdown. And then they're like, oh, it's going to be $1,000. Then what? Then what? Okay. So that's important. Okay. And you need to learn how to check your own fluids on your vehicle. Make sure your oil's full, your transmission fluid's full. Keep your windshield washer solvent full. Make sure you know how to monitor the fluid in your radiator. That's soups important. Okay, because you don't want your car to overheat on you because something went wrong and it was leaking and you didn't know it. Okay, so I mean, it can be a little intimidating. It can be a little intimidating, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so that's just a little sidebar note regarding your vehicle and maintenance. It's all important, and spending a little bit of money now can save a big amount of money later. And my dealership that I go to near me, they send me these coupons every once in a while, and I save them. Now, this is 10% off at your service, which if you're spending $500, okay, and then here's a wiper blades install for $15.95. Sometimes I have oil change specials and things like that I can take advantage of at my local dealership. Plus, if you have a vehicle that you take to the dealership, you can sign up. I know General Motors has a rewards program. I don't know about Ford or Chrysler, but you can check into that. And then you can take advantage of a rewards program when you take your car to the dealership. Like I bought my daughter. She was unable to drive for a while because of illness. And when she was finally able to drive again, I turned in all my rewards points and got her car a complete detail for free. That car was showroom new when she got it back. And that was all done with my rewards points. So that is super important. Look into that, take advantage of that because it's a free service offered by General Motors for sure. I don't know about the others, but I bet they have one because they want your business. So don't forget about that either. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is gasoline savings. It's very important to be proactive in this regard as well because gasoline, as we all know, is super expensive. Costs a fortune. It's ridiculous, people. It's ridiculous what we spend on gasoline. And so a few things that you can do, which you probably already know these, but for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to bring them up again. You can try to do your errands on your way home after work if where you need to go is on your way. Make that stop, run that errand, go to the credit union, Stop at Family Dollar. If you got to get something for supper or you want to buy groceries, go to the store, get it done, go home, and it's over. And then you can be home on the weekend and be productive doing other things. And you want to combine errands, like especially if you're going to go on the weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday. Make a list, combine your errands. Do 5 things on Saturday rather than doing one on Tuesday, going to this place on Thursday and back to the other place on Friday. Get it all done at once and be strategic. Say I'm going to go to this store, then I'm going to go to the store across town. I'm going to come back to this one, then I'm going home. Instead of going, that costs gas. Okay. That costs gas. And you want to try and save yourself money. So why not do that? Right? So with all that in mind, regarding gas, the next thing I want to mention is applying for a cents off card or a fuel rewards card or a fuel program card at your local gas station. These are very important. This is my Shell Fuel Rewards cents off card. And I put this in the pump, or I use it at the register every time I make a gasoline purchase or an in-store purchase at Shell. And I went on my app this morning. I thought I would show it to you really quick here. I have it up on my phone, I think. Here it is. This is my Shell Rewards cents off app. Okay. And it also shows me it tracks my progress in different things that are in the app. And it also provides me, there's partner rewards that I can earn, partner offers. And it also tells me where I am at. I am a platinum right now, which the last few times I've been to the gas station, I'm getting 20 cents off per gallon currently right now. And so it'll say, would you like 20 cents off per gallon on it'll say up to 20 gallons. And I go when I'm right down to almost fumes and I fill it up. I mean, it's like 50, 60 bucks, but we're going to get the gas anyway. Why not get some cents off on it? And I went in and looked, and I've been a member of the Shell Fuel Rewards program since January of 2020, which is 5 years. Now, over the course of that 5 years, I've saved $306.98 on gas. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but at $50 a tank, that's over 6 tanks of gas that have been essentially free for me over the last 5 years. 6 tanks of gas, almost, considering the cost of the fuel. Now, it could have been more than that, but I, from time to time, would buy gas at other gas stations. And so my fuel rewards card didn't apply. Okay, so that's important. You could get them for different gas stations like Mobil, Sunoco, Shell, all those gas stations. See if they have a fuel rewards card and just use them everywhere you go. That could be some potentially big savings happening for you there. And it's super easy. You can apply right at the register for it. I mean, gosh, I've had this card so long I don't even remember how I applied for it, but it's been a nice savings for me. Yeah. So you got to consider that as well for gasoline savings. Now, our last topic for today is insurances, car insurances specifically. And again, we want to be proactive with our car insurance because it can be a big cost. Okay. So the first thing I would suggest doing is talk to your agent. Go to your agent at your local insurance place, wherever you go, and talk to them and ask them about a discount for combining insurances. like your homeowners or your rental insurance. If you have campers, boats, the insurance for those, and your vehicles, you can get multi-car discounts and roll all that together. And you can wind up with some nice savings, which is what I experienced, because we had a big increase in Michigan last year that about drove me right through the ceiling. It was almost doubled my insurance. That's what happened here in Michigan. So you want to stay on top of that and know what you're paying. And also shop around. You're not married to the insurance company that you're with. Whether it's AAA, Progressive, whatever. Wolverine Insurance is a company here in Michigan that I currently have right now. And State Farm is another one. Those are all big insurance companies. Shop around. You can get a better rate usually. If your driving record is pretty good, you can get a better rate. And also you can get safe driving discounts. I know Progressive offers safe driving discounts, and you put this little thing in your car and it tracks your speed, and different things, and Progressive can give you discounts for that. And also my work requires a renewal of defensive driving every 3 years because we have vehicles that we use for work. So you can take your certificate, take it to your insurance guy, and ask them if you can get a discount for that. Now, my insurance offered a discount for that. When I was with Hastings Mutual, they offered a discount for that. And it was only like $50 or $75, but why not? Why not? I have said throughout all of these videos, you pay attention to the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. You pay attention. Every little bit counts. When you're trying to become debt-free and you're trying to get your bills paid, every penny counts. Okay? You got to remember that. And another big thing is if you can pay quarterly for your insurance or annually, that's a big bite. But if you can do it, you're going to have some significant savings. I can't remember the last time I paid monthly for my insurance. I bet you it's been 15 years. When I was married, my husband and I paid annually, and we got like a $300 or $400 discount on our insurance for paying it annually. It was ridiculous. I pay quarterly now, but still, every 3 months makes a big difference in what you pay. And then lastly, not only does that save you money, but it takes the pressure off you because you don't have to have that money every month to pay your insurance. It's done. It's over with. It can be $500 to $600. Okay. Just do it one time and see how you feel about it. And then the next quarter, just plan for it. Just plan for it. You got to write out your bills. As we've said in the past, you got to know where you're at. You got to know when things are due. And your insurance company will work with you. They can move that date around a little bit to help you out so that you can get it. It falls like when you get paid, or it falls in your schedule so that it works for you. So those are 4 of the topics that I wanted to go over today. First and foremost, be proactive, not reactive with your money. And I know there are times when reactive is your only option because things happen and they're unforeseen. But if you're putting money away, like we talked about in the last video, even if it's $5 or $10, you've got a little bit of money to help take care of whatever's happening. Okay? And so we're going to go over the 4 points that we talked about today. The first thing was groceries. Take an inventory, plan your meals, look into shelf-stable products, okay, and put things into the freezer. Or can, if you're a canner, you can do that too. You can can meats super easily. If you're a canner, you can can tomatoes, whatever makes you happy. I put things in the freezer. I do not can. I never really learned. That's on me. But the freezer is a viable option. And the second thing is consider a small garden. Okay. Start small, a few pots, raise a few tomatoes, raise a few cucumbers, raise a few peppers. See how you feel about it. You might be like, this is great. I can go out on my deck. I can pick a couple of green peppers or pull a few onions up. Onions can grow in a flower box that sits on the rail of your deck or in your window. Onions, they go in a row and they can grow in a flower box. They don't need a lot of root space. Okay. So you can do that too. And the next thing is vehicle maintenance, gasoline savings, and diesel. This works for gas or diesel. Okay. And then your vehicle insurances. Talk to your agent. See what they can give you for discounts. Ask them to look at other companies and see if you can get any savings. That's what I did. I had Hastings Mutual, and it was like sticker shock. Well, then they hooked me up with Wolverine Insurance, which was a bit of a savings. It was a little bit. It was a few $100s, which makes a big difference. Okay. So those are our 4 topics today that we talked about. Now, in the previous videos that we've done, in the first one, we're just going to recap as we roll forward. Okay. In the first one, we talked about where to start, how to start your list, early preliminary ways of looking into cutting back. Okay. You can go back and watch these videos. They're all under an overarching umbrella of, they're all laid out in a specific group on my YouTube channel. And you can go watch those one at a time. Each video is marked video 1, 2, 3, and this one will be marked number 4. So it's very easy for you to see at a glance where you're at. In the second video, we took a deep dive into cutting back, identifying your loans, impulse buying. That was a big one. And easy starts to look at for saving money and cutting back. In the third video, we took a deep dive in how to start saving money, looking into retirement vehicles for putting money away for retirement, how to start putting money into a savings account, what that might look like for you, and the big question, how much can you afford to invest? That was a big question. And I hope that you took the time to ask yourself that question and looked into an answer. So I'm hoping that today's talk will be helpful to you, like for daily life, daily living. And I hope that you stayed for the entire video and were able to make notes and maybe implement some of these things and some of these ideas that could potentially be very helpful towards your journey on becoming debt-free or close to it. So with that said, that's what we have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll get a lot out of it. And we will be back in a few weeks for another get together and another discussion. I'm not sure what that's going to be right now. I'm guessing there'll probably be one more in the series, and we will wrap up and recap, and then maybe we'll see where you're at if you're willing to talk about that with me. So I wish you luck. I wish you happiness and well-being. And know that I think about you, I love you, I care about you, and I hope you're well. So this is Grandma D saying you have a great day today and a better day tomorrow. And we'll talk soon. Bye-bye for now.